Yellow. So today we're going to be opening up none other than the X Duel Chest from the current Buddyfight X series. So this is one of Bushiroad's many, well, not many, I guess it's the fourth one, special Buddyfight products where they basically package in a few decks into one special set. I think the last one that we had was the Golden Buddy Champion box, if I do recall that correctly. And first and foremost, I would like to thank Bushiroad for providing the product. I'm very happy to be given this opportunity once again to go over one of the new Buddyfight releases, and this one releases just in time for Christmas. So if any of you are wondering what you might want to get for your friends as a little present, this might just be the thing. But before we go into the product, Bushiroad also sent me a really nice Christmas card. Honestly, this is like super adorable and like actually has like a nice personalized greeting. That's like super cute. Like, thank you so much. This is actually like, this brightened my day when I saw it, so it's nice. This is actually like, it's actually beautiful. I'm so happy to see it every day, honestly. So that was very nice. Thank you very much, Bushiroad. So we're gonna crack open this special box, and what makes it special is that it's not just any storage box. It's, you know, as even though it may look like a storage box, it does contain essentially two decks. So as you can see on the side, there is the Thunder Empire one and then the Chaos one. So we're gonna crack it open, and the nice part of sets like these is that, you know, apart from the product that's inside of it, you do essentially get a storage box with it, so that's definitely a very nice addition to it. So yeah, and also on the back you can see the overall contents. I'll just remove the foil so you guys can read it without the glare. So as you can see, it's mostly, apart from the buddy is 5 pieces of each, obviously, because it is the buddy, and then you get 2 pieces of everything. So 2 pieces of everything in the Thunder Empire list, and then 2 of everything in the Chaos list, and then 1 of each of the flags, which is something I'm actually kind of looking forward to, because yes, there we go, that's what I'm looking forward to. They do have their special kind of backing, which is quite unique and definitely not something that is too usual in Buddyfight itself. And it also comes with, we'll just quickly crack this open, comes with a couple of life counters. So this is basically perfect for you and a friend that may want to pick up the game or just experience it as a whole. So we have the Chaos one and the Thunder Empire one. So, and on the back we have both bots and the Gear God. So pretty nice, pretty nice. I like the overall aesthetic. They're definitely always kind of surpassing themselves as time goes on. So we're gonna put those away for now. So we don't exactly need them right now, but they are essential to playing the game. So obviously you will need them for that. And then apart from that, this just takes itself out. There's nothing inside, but you can use this as a storage space for your actual deck boxes. So as an example, you could potentially fit in 2 of the version 2 deck boxes, one of the smaller deck boxes that you would get at events, into this. So it's definitely quite nice. You can use it as deck storage. I think that's overall quite cool. So that way it's not just, you know, you're like when you open boxes, you just have the cardboard lying around, and you usually either use it for just either putting your random commons in there or just throw it away, as a lot of people do. But you know, so this is a really nice touch. And then here we have another piece of art on the bottom, so that's quite nice. So we can close that up for now. So it's just going to be sitting there on this side. But what we really want to see is the actual 2 decks that are provided. And also inside here, just going to be your usual kind of rule sheet, as well as the playmat. But this time the playmat comes with space for 2 players. I'm not going to open it up because it's going to be a bit too big to fit on the camera. But it is a double playmat, so you can use this like both, essentially one thing for both you and a friend. So we'll put that away. And then we'll crack open one of the 2 decks. So we'll start off with the Thunder Empire one. And so here we can see Borrow Bots, the Lightning, my bad. So there's your buddy for the thing. So let's just open it, not look at it too much through the actual foil protective casing. Yaha! So the nice little touch that they do add is that it is a buddy rare, and it is the same, spoiler alert, it is the same on the other one. So it's quite nice that the first one that they give you is a buddy rare, and it does have the usual textures of a buddy rare too, so they really went all out on that one. So it's quite nice. And it does contain one of the newer mechanics, which is Overturn, which, if I'm not mistaken, is one that you can only use once per game, and it cannot be nullified, and your opponent can't actually counter it. So for example, Bots' Overturn ability is to pay 1 gauge and 1 life at the beginning of your attack phase, and then you destroy all cards on your opponent's field and deal damage to your opponents equal your opponent equal to the number of cards destroyed. So pretty cool. It does have double attack, a crit, gaining skill, and fairly nice stats on top of that. So definitely quite nice. So you get 5 pieces of this one. So this one was the Buddy rare, and then you get 1 more of this foily one. So it's basically like an R foiling, and then 3 of the common one. So you do get 5, so that you can use one of them as your Buddy. So that's definitely very nice. So that's our 4 of for this side of the set, at least, or 5 of rather. And then the other cards will essentially be 2 of everything, and from a vast array of worlds, let's say. So first off, we have the Ancient World one. So we have the new Dual Jaeger. So there's 2 of him. Again, like every card is essentially, one of them is our foil, and the other one is a common foil. So he's essentially just there to well, he has +1 critical for each card in his soul, and then his overturn ability allows him to also pump up his soul to also up the critical. So that's quite interesting. And also for those of you that may have been out of the game for a while, as this does come with a Thunder Emperor's Fangs flag, I feel like I should introduce that first. This allows you to use Thunder Empire cards, but in exchange your initial hand becomes 7, your initial gauge becomes 1, and your initial life becomes 11. So you do gain more cards in hand, but you do lose on 1 gauge, but you also gain an extra 1 life, but you can use Thunder Empire cards. So that's why everything is different worlds, because they all share the Thunder Empire attribute. So that's the important part to note down. Here's a new Dual Zieger, my bad. So that's also quite nice to see. And then we have a new Abigail, which essentially just works as a little size 3 nuke when it enters the field. So here's its art. You can see it a little bit better on the common one. As much as I like the foiling, the art is a little bit more clear on the common one as per usual. Then we have a new Athora, which actually takes advantage of you having different world names on your field, which is quite interesting. So that, you know, that definitely does require your Thunder Empire to be, well, for you to be playing it in Thunder Empire. Here we have the new Halberd, and we actually have the Halberd on one of the sides of the box. I believe it's on the back. So there's the Halberd on the left side of the back. So this one isn't just Thunder Empire, it's also Thunder Knights. So it does have cold costs of 1 gauge and 1 life, but when this card moves to the center, you can draw a card for free, which is pretty nice. And he's got pretty alright stats on top of that, so definitely pretty cool. Then we do have a little bit more, it seems we have a little bit more Dragon World cards than some others, but there may be more over the course of the deck. But you know, that does make sense considering it is, well, Gao in the end. So here we have some more bots support. And then this one I actually quite like, so this is Marivolt. This one just comes as 2 commons, it seems, so it's not every card that has a R foiling. So this one is essentially like when he link attacks, my bad, you stun him and gain a gauge. It's only once per turn, but that's definitely pretty nice. It's also 5/1, so definitely not too bad. I actually quite like this guy. So pretty cool. Also some Taco support. I honestly, like, until this year, I wasn't sure if Taco would be getting more support, but we did get another card earlier this year, so that was definitely quite nice. So that, I'm pretty happy about that, honestly. As the Hero World main that I am pretty happy about this. Then we have a new Dual Dragon. This one is 4 crit for a size 1. It's, you know, kind of nice, but it can be called to the center. So also the art is pretty interesting as well. Definitely kind of menacing. Here we have some of the Katana World stuff. Is the first one that we've seen so far. Then here is Brontes, which has a pretty interesting attack if you have an item equipped. Not attack ability. Then if you have an item equipped, then his attack cannot be nullified if he's attacking alone. And then he can also give that ability to your item. So it's definitely pretty interesting. I think it's an interesting way to interact with things. So, and then we have our first Magic World card, this time a 72 Pillars. And here we have a 2 of Thunder X Triguard, which once again does take advantage of you having different world names on the field. So quite interesting, it's an interesting direction. Then we have Loud Voice, which is a pretty nice name for a card. This, I feel like we've seen a similar type of effect before. So as a cast cost, you discard 1 or more cards from your hand, and then for this turn, all cards in your opponent's field get power -3k, defense -3k, and critical -1 for each card discarded by this card's cast cost, my bad. So it actually scales for each one that you discard, because it does say 1 or more. So that's definitely quite interesting. This is quite an interesting concept, I have to say. And then here we have one of the danger spells. Again, if you have 2 or more different world names, you can gain 3 life. Kinda nice, kinda nice. And then Thunder X Goodbye. This card's quite good. You can only cast it during your opponent's turn, but however, if you do pay a gauge and return a monster from your field to your hand, then you can return a monster from your opponent's field to hand. So pretty cool, pretty cool. It's strikingly similar to another card. I'm not sure if I can put my finger on it, but you know what I mean. Here we have another attack null, so it's also quite nice. And then we have overpowering Arc Dragons. So this works with both Dragon Lords and Thunder Empire, so it lets you on counter draw a card and give one of the monsters in battle on your field plus 4k and plus 4k power and plus 4k defense, but for the whole turn, which is definitely quite cool. Then we have the Fighter's Oath, as well as a bit of monster destruction. And here we have our first item. So this is Vajra Demon Slay. So he cannot attack the left or right, but it does have double attack, so with 5-2, that's not too bad, honestly. And then we have another item, this time with equipment change, and it does have hero in the attributes, so that's also pretty cool. And then finally we have 2 copies of the Impact, because what would a staple Buddyfight product be without impacts? So this time this is Rupture X Tempest Slash. So you may only cast it if your opponent has 5 life or less and you have a Thunder Empire item equipped. If you pay 3 gauge, then you deal damage to your opponent equal to the number of different world names of cards in your drop zone. So this time it's in your drop zone. So pretty nice, but that can be negated, so do keep that in mind. So that's actually it for the Thunder Empire one. So I also really like that they have this, like, the different flag back. That's honestly like super nice. And it has like this, the texture of it is the same as the usual cards actually, but it's just like this. I really like this black border and the blood red on the inside. It's such a nice little touch. Such a small thing, honestly, but like when you compare it to your regular back, it really does stand out. But we still have to go through the purple one, which I'm sure some people will be more into as well. So let's get on to that. All right, so now let's continue onwards with the chaos stuff. So this is, I have some friends that really like the color purple, so just seeing this would be enough to please them, so just the first thing I thought actually. But let's just quickly crack it open and take a look at it together as well. Yoy. Now, just for you newcomers to understand how this works, because you'll see that there's some pretty big sizes in this deck, so I think to understand the reason why these big sizes function is to first take a look at the flag of the Chaos. So the skill does read that you may use Chaos cards, and your initial hand becomes 4 cards, your initial gauge becomes 2 cards, and your initial life becomes 10. You may put monsters for up to... You may put monsters of up to a total of size of 99 on your field. And all size 30 or greater monsters on your field cannot be destroyed and their abilities cannot be nullified by effects. So, something pretty fancy, honestly, just to start with. This is already pretty fancy. So you can play up to size 99, that's a start. Plus you don't really neg too much apart from the 2 cards in hand. But on top of that, all of your cards that have size 30 or more can't be destroyed or nullified by effects. So pretty interesting, but that's like the first important card to go over. And the next important card, which does take advantage of those skills, is the brand new Proto Deleter, Gear God version 0.88. It's actually slightly hard to read the name off of the Buddy Rare version, but I'll quickly show you the 3 possible ones. So the Buddy Rare one does look the coolest, and it does have the pattern does feel very nice. So let's go over his skills really quick and do mention his pretty impressive stat line as well. So his call cost is to put any number of monsters from your field into this card's soul and pay 3 gauge. When he enters the field, you may call a size 3 or less chaos monster from your drop zone without paying its call cost, which is pretty impressive. And then his overkill skill, which is, well, similar to that of overturn, is to discard a card from your hand at the beginning of your opponent's attack phase, and then you destroy all monsters you put on your opponent's field and gain life equal to the number of cards destroyed. So it's essentially the opposite of Bats, and he does have the skill Chaos Territory on top of that. So very fancy looking. Oh, this is definitely quite the nice trump card, let's say. So I definitely do like his design as well. But let's put him away for now and take a look at what supports him. So as we said, all Chaos cards are essentially compatible with this deck, and you'll see that this massive logo over here does show that it's a Chaos card. And this is Breast Corona, so this is the other card that we saw on the back of the box over here. So that's pretty cool. So Breast Corona itself though does on attack essentially just give you a gauge on the life, and then if your opponent has no monsters in the center, then you also gain another gauge. So that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice, just a little bit of gauge XL. It's a size 3, but honestly is that even gonna be that much of a problem in this deck? I don't think so. So next we have Chaos Gill Queen. When it enters the field by a card effect, you gain 1 life and draw a card. The normal call cost is, however, 1 gauge, and it does have Penetrate, which is also quite nice. Here we have a new Ibuki. This is, I think some people will be quite happy about this. So, because like it is a Chaos card, but you can also technically use it just in its own Oni Assassin deck. So when he enters the field, you can destroy a monster in your opponent's field. And if this card enters the field by card effects, then you destroy a card in your opponent's field instead. So the first, normally when he enters the field, it would be a monster, but if it's by effect, then you can destroy anything. So that's quite nice, and he does have Ambush, as is expected. You can't really have a Oni Assassin, especially not Ibuki, without Ambush on it. Then there's a new Death Teleka, so that when this would leave the field, so just leave the field, and we put a total of 3 monsters or deep from your drop zone on the bottom of your deck in any order, and if you do, this card remains on the field. So that's quite interesting. It does have a nice stat line and double attack on top of that to maintain that pressure. So that's quite cool. Next we have Chaos Gestera, which does give all monsters on your center plus 1k and plus 1k power and plus 1k defense, as well as Penetrate, which is also pretty fancy. Here we have some Raging Spirit support, which is quite nice. This is Chaos Champion Lord. So his call cost is to put the top card of your deck into this card's soul and pay 2 gauge, and when your opponent's cards attack, you, just like in usual Raging Spirits fashion, redirect that attack to him. And then he has Counteract, pay 1 life. If you do for this turn, this card gets critical +1 and Penetrate, but you can only use that once per turn. But on top of that, he does have double attack, Soul Guard, and Lifelink 3, so that's also quite nice. Here we have a new Death Gaze, which does have Spectral Strike of 2 damage, and the other ability that when an attack of a monster on your center is nullified, you put a card from your opponent's gauge into the drop zone, which is still pretty nice. Here we have Dragolem, which does give critical, extra critical to one of your units, which is also very nice. Here we have a little bit of Crew Trooper support, which is definitely welcome. As you can see, I get a little bit more excited about the Hero World cards. I wonder why. Stygia, when he's destroyed, you choose and use one of the following 2. First one is you either call up to 1 Crew Trooper or Chaos monster from your hand without paying its call cost, which is pretty nice in both cases. And the second effect is that you can call up to 1 Crew Trooper or Chaos monster from the soul of a card on your field by paying its call cost. So that soul ability is a bit more Crew Trooper based, I would say, but it does have Penetrate on top of that, so that's pretty nice. Then there's a new Lattice, long time no see. Definitely quite a few familiar faces here. Then there's Calvados, and here we have Chaos Zodiac, so another quite unexpected turn, I guess you could say. So, call cost, pay 1 gauge. When he enters the field, you put up to 1 card from your drop zone into this card's soul, which is pretty nice, for free. And your opponent's monsters in front of this card cannot stand by card effects, which is also pretty cool. And then it has the usual gravity rest, that when a monster enters your opponent's field, you can pay 1 gauge and discard a card from your hand to rest it. And it does have Soul Guard on top of that. So I really dig the art of this guy. Damn, like this actually has gloriously nice art. So although a lot of pretty much all the Zodiacs do, but still quite cool. Here we have some dungeon support. So here we have Mr. Orser Kleins back at it again. So when he enters the field, you may put 2 monsters and a spell from your drop zone on the bottom of your deck in any order. If you do, put the top card of your deck into your gauge and you gain 1 life and draw a card. That's definitely welcome. You recycle, you also gain gauge and draw, so that's pretty nice. Here we have Chaos Mac Braver. Basically does the same thing as the original Mac Braver, but on a size 3. It still costs the 1 gauge, but it's interesting. I like the art of it though, but I think in the general scope of things, I would prefer the normal Mac Braver, but for Chaos this is definitely quite nice. And then we have Chaos Wall Healing Barrier, which does nullify the attack as well as give you 1 life if you have 3 or more monsters on the field. And then this is just something to surpass, any defenses that your opponent may be putting up. And then we have Force Summoning Shelsana. So this is a new shield for Dungeon World, so it can nullify the attack if it's not a link attack. Pretty nice, pretty nice. Definitely welcome. But it's cool how they reversed even Shalsana. That's I'm not sure how to feel about that, but it's cool. But it's just like, poor baby. Next up, we have Population Reduction. That's definitely quite the name we've got going on here. As the call cost, you may put a size tier or greater monster from your field into the drop zone and pay 1 life. If you do, you draw 2 cards, but you can only use this once per turn. But it does have counter on it, so that's quite nice. And then we have Chaotic Pain, which does gauge XL quite nicely. Then a little bit of Destruction, which is also quite nice, this time for Hero World. And then this is Chaos Leviathan, I think is how you pronounce it, so a new weapon for Chaos, and just for clarity, I'll put the non-foil one in front, just so we can read it off. So the gauge cost of this card's equip cost is reduced by the number of cards on your field. So normally it would be 4, but it does reduce depending on how much you have on the field. So, you know, technically it can go down to 0, so that's quite nice. And then this card on the field cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects, that's one thing. And then this card can attack even if you have monsters on your censors. That's also quite nice. Plus 10-2 to boot is definitely not something to complain about. And then there's Chaos Shooter, as well as the last card once again being the Impact, which is Directive Code Forced Reboot. So for 4 gauge, you can stand all Chaos on your field and you get another attack phase. So very interesting little twist. And again, I will show off the very nice back of the flag. I'm pretty big fan of this, honestly. It's just so pretty. So that is it for the Chaos deck that you get in the X Duel Chest. So that is going to do it for today's video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little overview of the X Duel Chest, one of the new Buddyfight products. Don't forget that there is a ton of support for both of these decks in case you do want to enhance them. And if you are one of the more competitive players, then you might want to pick up 2 of them just so you have play sets of everything. So that's quite nice. Or you might just want to talk with your friends, and if both of you got an X Duel Chest, and just kind of trade the cards that you might not need or your friend needs, and you know how it goes. I don't think I need to explain this to you. But once again, big thank you to Bushrod for sponsoring this video and for sending the product. I definitely it's an honor to be able to do this this time as well. I'm honestly very happy to be given the opportunity to do this as well. So thank you very much, as well as thank you once again for the very nice card. I really appreciate this. Like, in case you couldn't tell just from my voice, I've got a smile on my face as well. So he's definitely very nice. So that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.